But I just want to say a few words in deep gratitude for one of the most phenomenal organizations that I've been a part of through unfortunate circumstances. These unfortunate circumstances have turned into a great fortune for me and for so many people around the world. My name is Sister Dee Byrne, and I'm a member of the Little Workers of the Sacred Hearts, an international community that serves the poor in education and healthcare. And I also happen to be in an uncanny position of also being a general surgeon who served in our military forces for about 29 years, active service. In one of those years, in 2008, I was a surgeon in Camp Salerno, Afghanistan, where I had the opportunity to work side by side with some phenomenal Afghani civilians who worked with our coalition to help us in the service of both the military troops as well as the local civilians. One of these doctors who served the poor in their area, apparently in December, I received a phone call from a family member, a son, stating that his mother had been captured by the Taliban and for 3 days severely harassed. Why? Because she had been our friends, our American friends. They let her go, but they live in fear, in deep, deep fear. Now, I was a little bit unsure if this was a valid phone call because he had called several times. Then I asked him to send me an email of some documents to prove, and lo and behold, in early January of 2022, he sent me photos of his mother, her passports, visas, even a letter that I had written to her in Thanksgiving for the hard work she had done for our troops. So I was stunned when he said, "Please help us get out of Afghanistan." And I said really a prayer. I said, "Lord, who am I? I'm a nobody. How can I help?" And the next morning, which was a Sunday, I was speaking with some friends who actually happened to be working with Congressman Chris Smith there on his staff. And they put me in touch with probably one of the most remarkable men I've ever met, the most incredible program I've ever met, and that is Jason Jones in the Vulnerable People Project. And Jason is such a can-do guy. I give him the credit because he was in the military also. Jason took the information and said, with his networking, got the family food, coal, and a safe haven for about 3 weeks. And then a few days later, I get a text from Jason saying, "Sister, pray. They're going across the border." Somehow, some way, through the Vulnerable People's Project, Jason got 13 members of this beautiful family in 3 vehicles safely across the border from Afghanistan to an unnamed country on the other side. Now they're still in this unnamed country, but the goal will be to get them in Brazil or Sierra Leone. So, I mean, I am dumbfounded by the quick, rapid response that Vulnerable People Project had done, and how this beautiful family and thousands of families that Jason has helped through the Vulnerable People Project have helped not only in Afghanistan, but in China and in Ukraine and worldwide. So I just ask, pray that the Lord will give you the desire to be able to give from your heart via your pockets. And we know that every penny will not go wasted. It will be there to use for those who don't have what we have here in the United States, which is freedom. Thank you, and God bless you, and know that you are in our prayers in thanksgiving for all that you do for the Vulnerable People Project. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Hello, this is Aina Bibi, and I'm an Afghan humanitarian and social activist. I fled Afghanistan last year after the government collapsed, and I came to Germany. I was in charge of an Australian humanitarian NGO there for years, and I worked so hard to improve education in rural areas in the north of Afghanistan. and I'm also originally from Hazara ethnicity, and I'm gonna tell you the story of my people. In the last 2 decades, when the new era of democracy began in Afghanistan with the help of United States and international community, my people, Hazara people, expressed the biggest support and interest in building and establishing a democratic society in Afghanistan, and they contributed the most by handing over their guns and invest in education and development. An embodiment of our commitment to this cause can be involvement of Hazara women, accounting for the majority of Afghan women participation in private sectors, in politics, and also in the military. Supporting democracy, however, has costed us a lot of lives and has put us as the main target of attacks by terrorist groups like Taliban and ISIS. They keep exploding and attacking our mosques, schools, hospitals, gyms. Like in the past few years, they have frequently attacked our schools and have massacred hundreds of our students, specifically girls. Despite all this obvious prosecution and genocide, Hazara people have received the least possible international support, leading them to feel so alone and desperate in this war against them. Like right now, under Taliban's rules, Hazara living situation has got incredibly worse. Like last year, UN aid sent to Afghanistan, they hardly made it to Hazara people because they were directed away by Taliban deliberately to deprive Hazara people. However, luckily, I came across VPP and I got the chance to voluntarily cooperate with this wonderful team. VPP stepped forward and distribute food aids to Hazara community for the first time, and they managed to cover thousands of poor Hazara families last winter to survive hunger. They also, as the first American NGO committed to supporting Hazara schools, VPP has been providing these schools with security equipment like guard CCTVs to protect them from future imminent attacks. So on behalf of Hazara people, I express my sincere gratitude to VPP team, and I really hope that we can continue our mission to save and protect more vulnerable people in the future. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Juliana Tamarazzi, and I'm the founder and the president of Iraqi Christian Relief Council. I would like to say a few words to Jason. Jason, you are my personal hero. You have inspired countless. Through your organization, the Vulnerable People's Project, you have saved countless of lives, especially in Afghanistan. Jason and I began working together in 2011 to serve the persecuted Christians in Iraq, the Assyrians, the Chaldeans, and Syriacs. Last year, when Afghanistan fell, there were 6 Christian Afghans that reached out through a friend of mine, and they asked to be saved because they had served the American interest in Afghanistan, and then they were left vulnerable. I immediately called Jason and I asked him for help. I called many people, but really the only one who answered the call was Jason. You, Jason, seamlessly, very quickly started the process, and you saved these 6 women's lives, and I'm forever grateful to you. You are really the star in our universe, and I look forward to continue to working with you. God bless you for everything that you've done and you will continue to do for not just the Christians throughout the world who are suffering, but to other vulnerable peoples such as the Uyghurs in China. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brittany Green. I'm the Executive Director of Radiance Women's Center here in Pflugerville, Texas, just outside of Austin. I wanted to take a minute to thank Jason and his team, the Vulnerable People's Project, for the ongoing support that they have provided to the refugee client that we have been serving since last fall. In the fall of 2021, we met a refugee couple who came to us when they were faced with an unexpected pregnancy. Not only were they pregnant and didn't know what to do, they had been facing homelessness due to a lack of resources available to them. And on top of that, they had been tragically separated from their 1-year-old son who had been left behind in Afghanistan. Their situation to them felt hopeless. As a pregnancy center that always comes from a place of yes, we had no idea what our yes was going to turn into, but we knew that their most basic needs had to be met. We connected with Jason, and after our first meeting, within less than 12 hours, he had food, coal, other additional resources, formula, and diapers delivered to this refugee couple's family in Afghanistan who were taking care of their child until we could figure out how to reunite them. Not only were their family's needs in Afghanistan met, Jason stepped in to make sure that their immediate needs for shelter and food were taken care of until we could establish long-term housing for them here in Austin. What felt hopeless became hopeful. Not only was it hopeful, it was tangible hope. What Jason has done for this family gave them the courage that they needed to be able to step forward, to move forward in creating a new life here in Texas, in the hopes of one day being able to welcome their son here in America. Since our meeting, Jason and his team have been working hard to figure out a plan on how to reunite their son here in America. We are really looking forward to the day when that is going to take place, and we trust that it is going to be soon. Thank you, Jason, for taking the time to meet with us and make sure that this family's most basic needs were met. You provided the resources that we were afraid we weren't going to be able to provide, but we had made a commitment to this family. What felt like hopeless in a hopeless situation became overly hopeful. You and your team have made what felt impossible the most possible it could have ever been. And we thank you for what you are continuing to do for the most vulnerable people that we get the honor of loving and working with. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Jenniferkelenet, and I'm the former National Director of I Am Whole Life. I remember watching the news, seeing the United States exit Afghanistan, and just what a absolute terrible tragedy that was. The calamity, the suffering, it was just a complete disaster. And a few days I started getting some messages from one of the moms in my mom group that I'm in, and she was begging anyone who could help. Her mother-in-law was someone that was stuck in Afghanistan. She had already had her visa, the paperwork was already going through the embassy, because her and her husband lived here in the United States, and he's from Afghanistan. And now her mother-in-law was stuck there, and the situation was very dire because he had married someone that wasn't Muslim, her husband, and so they knew that, and so the Taliban was after her. It was very scary, and she was sending these, very desperate messages to us, to the moms in the group, of just reaching out, anyone that can help, anyone that knows anybody. And immediately I knew that I could call Jason. Working with him for, close to 7 or 8 years, I know that he's someone that can get things done. I know that he's someone that's very well connected, that knows a lot of people. And if anyone can do it, it's him. And so I called him and I said, hey, do you know anybody at the embassy? Do you know anyone that could help my friend's mother-in-law? And right away he said yes. I mean, he said yes without even thinking about it. And he did it. He made it happen. And she's here, and it really, he saved her life. And I'm very thankful to him for that. I'm very thankful that she is here with her grandchildren, and she's here with her nephew and with her son, and she's safe in the United States. And I'm very proud to call him my friend, and to know that Jason is someone that you can call when you need something crazy like getting someone out of Afghanistan in the middle of a war. So thank you, Jason.
My name is Alejandro Bermudez. I am a Catholic journalist in the United States, and I was approached by a group of Christians in Afghanistan after it was taken over by the Taliban. And without the help of Jason Jones and the Vulnerable People Project, those guys will be dead today. And one of the things I am very proud of is partnering with Jason, because he has carried the ball all the way. Until now, we continue to struggle, but he is still deeply committed and delivering, first in saving their lives, getting them out of Afghanistan, and now working together to find a place for them. Thank you, Jason. God bless you, brother. And thank you to everybody that helps the Vulnerable People Project, because you are saving lives. Right now, you are saving lives. God bless you.